What is up, everyone? I hope you're enjoying this video. There's still more video to come. I just wanted to say a huge thank you to Sweetwater and LP Percussion for sponsoring this video, for sending me these cowbells to try out and to show in a review to you guys. And it's funny because I've never actually owned a cowbell of my own up until now. It's been something that I've always kind of had it in the back of my head. Like, I want to dive into that whole, percussion as part of your drum kit kind of area of drumming, like having cowbells and woodblocks and fun little stuff, fun accessories and percussion instruments in general. But I don't know why it's taken me so long, but this was an excellent opportunity to dive into that world. So I'm dipping my toes slightly, starting with these 5 cowbells here that I have showcased for you just now, as you've seen them side by side. And we're going to dive into them a little bit more, talking a little bit about them each one by one, so you can make an educated decision if you're looking to buy one of these perhaps for yourself. And if you are, I would also encourage you to check them out at sweetwater.com. So without further ado, let's talk about the cowbells one by one. So starting off, we have the LP Ridge Rider cowbell. And going into this whole thing, I was very curious about what this whole ridge thing is about. Again, basically knowing nothing about cowbells or their design, I thought that this ridge feature that I've seen in a wide variety of cowbells all over the place, I thought that this was just purely a durability thing, protecting the cowbell from your stick by having this extra thick plastic material in between, so the cowbell doesn't dent if you really lay into it. I assumed that was basically the only point of having this. And that is true, that is part of what this does. This does add durability to the cowbell. But as I learned by playing this, and especially comparing it to the cowbell that comes next in the review, which is basically this but without the ridge, you can really hear a difference in tone, and noticeably a difference in overtone and sustain. So this is a lot drier than having the version that does not have the ridge on it. So this dries up the sound, it lowers the pitch a little bit, it lowers the volume ever so slightly, at least between this and the one that I have coming after. I found that this one has slightly lower volume, but that's more of a parenthesis than anything else. More than anything, this dries up the tone and of course adds durability. So if you like a cowbell that has a pretty distinct and hard-hitting attack, but a short sustain, not a lot of overtones, just purely focusing on that initial hit, and you also want to be able to lay into it quite heavily without worrying about denting it or flaking off paint or anything like that, then this is going to be a workhorse, I think. This is one of those cowbells you can have for a long time and just beat the hell out of, and I think it will probably take it. Yeah, cool cowbell. Let's move on. So next up, we have the LP Rock cowbell. And as I mentioned, this is basically the same cowbell as the last one, as the Ridge Rider, but without the ridge. So you can see this is purely unaltered, just a straight up classic sounding, classic looking cowbell. It has a little bit more overtones, a little bit more sustain compared to the Ridge Rider, slightly higher pitch, also slightly more volume. I guess that comes from, it can resonate more fully because there's nothing weighing it down, so it's nice and open, contributes slightly to the volume as well. Yeah, just a classic looking, classic sounding cowbell. This will do the job for pretty much anything. And now we get to what's probably my favorite out of these 5. I'm still a little bit torn between this one and the one that comes next, but this is definitely a top contender for me personally. This is the LP Mambo cowbell. There's one main thing that I really like about this, and it's the fact that the pitch is quite a bit lower, at least compared to the other ones that I have here today. I really like that low pitch sound. It also has a very nice, rich and full sound. Like, there's a lot of resonance, there's a lot of tone. And I think, again, being new at this, I think that is my preference for a cowbell. At least the way that I like to play it, it's still a matter of figuring out how I want to incorporate a cowbell into my setup. So there's definitely different uses for different types of sounds. But I think the style of grooves and the type of things that I like to play, if I have a cowbell on my kit, I think this type of sound suits that best. Again, the lower pitch, a lot of resonance, a lot of tone, quite a bit of volume. It's quite loud. I really like this one. LP Mambo cowbell. But again, I'm torn between this as a first place, between this and the one that comes next. So let's check out the one that comes next. So this is the LP Steve Gadd signature cowbell. It's the only signature model out of these 5, and it has a very similar profile to the Mambo, the last cowbell that I reviewed, where it's a bit flatter profile, right? It's not as big on the inside, it's a bit flatter, a bit more compact. Maybe that contributes to the fact that I really like this one and the Mambo. That might be a contributing factor, just, changes how it sounds. I don't understand the physics behind it, but it really sounds very nice. The difference between this and the Mambo is that this is higher in pitch, and more than anything, this has a lot lot of overtones, which I really, really like. Like, it's a beautiful kind of tail after you hit it with a lot of rich overtones, very, very nice sustain. And that also actually makes this probably, in a sense, the most versatile out of these cowbells. Versatile in the sense that depending on where and how you hit it, it really changes the sound a lot. So you can get a lot of different types of sounds out of this just because the overtones are that prominent. Overtones are very susceptible to changing in character and in sound and maybe disappearing completely or being more prominent depending on how and where you hit it, compared to, for example, like the Ridge Rider or the Rock Cowbell that had more of a drier and more of a kind of straightforward sound. They will sound different too, of course, depending on how and where you hit them, but this sounds more different, if that makes sense. Like, it really accentuates the different types of sounds you can get out of it. So it's very, very fun to play because you can kind of mess around with how it sounds. Very, very versatile, very cool, very good sounding cowbell. Top contender for sure. Not sure if it's my number 1 or my number 2. I'm still debating on that, but it's up there. So check it out. Really nice cowbell. And then finally, we have the LP Black Beauty cowbell. And as you can see, this is very different from the others. This is a lot smaller. It's like half the size maybe compared to the others. And that was actually a mistake. Like, I wanted to order 5 cowbells that were, you know, similar but different. And this one turned out to be very different. I must have misread the info page or the specs or whatever. But that actually turned out to be a good thing. Like, I had a lot of fun playing this. And I'm actually glad I ordered this rather than just a 5th that was similar to the others, because it really opened my eyes to how different cowbells can be. Like, I didn't even know that cowbells came in that variety of size. I thought they were all more or less the same size, but this was, again, a pleasant surprise. This plays more and sounds more almost like a wood block, you know? So if you want a cowbell that's more on the smaller side, more like a fun little accessory type of thing, especially if you already have a main cowbell and you're looking to add a second one to your kit, this is a great choice for that. I had an absolute blast playing this, and I can imagine it would go very, very well as a secondary cowbell together with a main cowbell. Maybe even like the Mambo cowbell that's a bit lower in pitch, so you really get that pitch contrast. That would be a lot of fun to mess around with it. So think about it as more of a secondary cowbell, at least in my opinion, and for that, it's perfect. So that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please leave a like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and again, a huge thank you to Sweetwater and to LP Percussion for sponsoring this video. If you guys want to buy any of these cowbells, make sure to use the links in the description or in the pinned comment below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.